It's 1999 and you're a 9-year-old in Portland, Oregon. Toy Story 2 just came out and you're keen to get the latest toys from the movie. Strolling down the aisle, you spot one that catches your eye. The Toy Story 2 Hang Around Woody marionette. Your dad buys it and you treasure it for years. Fast forward to 2009, you're reminiscing about it when the chain closes its doors after years of financial struggles. K.B Toys, for years, provided years of joy for generations of children. When it closed down, it was the end of an era and foreshadowed the death of Toys R Us. I had first come across K.B Toys when an abandoned store was featured in the background of an episode of Hawkeye, so it's been lurking in my mind for a few years at this point. While K.B Toys may no longer exist, it still lives on in the minds of those who went and worked there. Much like the previous entry, I have struggled to find information on the early lives of the founders of K.B Toys. Harry and Joseph Kaufman opened a candy store on April 1st, 1922, but during the 40s they purchased a toy store of a client who owed outstanding debts to them. They opened their first toy stores on September 21st, 1946 at 70 Columbus Avenue in Pittsfield, which is now a fire station. 2 years later they ended their involvement in the candy business and decided to stick to their toy business. K.B Toys until 1973 existed as a wholesale store, which means buying products in bulk from the source and reselling them to other businesses or people. In 1973 they changed this to become a mall-based store, now referring to themselves as K.B Toy and Hobby. By the end of that decade they had 170 stores across the country. In the early 80s, the Kaufman family sold the company to the Melville Corporation, which had historically been involved in the shoe industry. However, in 1996 they have since been known as the CVS Corporation and became a health-based company. They bought 37 Toy World stores in 1983 from Wix Companies, which was going bankrupt at that time, and subsequently took over the leases. In the 90s they bought Circus World's 330 stores and took them over. A year later they bought K&K Toys' 136 stores and converted them to KB and Toys stores. That same year they closed 250 that were underperforming. Of course, they ended up directly competing with Toys R Us. In addition to their regular stores, they had KB Toy Works, which were larger than regular stores and existed in strip malls. There was also KB Toy outlet stores that operated in outlet malls, and finally KB Toy Express, which were temporarily operated in malls. In 1996, they were sold to Consolidated Stores, and in 1998, their website was launched. This is done in collaboration with BrainPlay.com, which gave toy sales information, and they would operate it from their headquarters. This would be competing with the Toys R Us website and eToys.com. In 1999, 2 black customers sued over a KB Toys policy that stated personal checks couldn't be used to pay for items at stores that had high rates of return checks. They, along with the Equal Rights Group, claimed that this policy was discriminatory against black people and that the policy was enforced in 8 stores in black neighborhoods within the Baltimore metropolitan area. In the year 2000, KB Kids listing on the NASDAQ was changed to KBKD. Consolidated Stores didn't get much revenue from KB Toys. Some of the factors included too much spending on KBKids.com, and their video game sales were down at many stores. Because of this, Consolidated Stores decided to sell the KB Toys to Bain Capital for $305 million. The sale included all the subdivisions that I mentioned before. The sale had also marked the end of it being a subsidiary and it became a private company. From the 2001 Christmas season, KB Toys started operating stores within a store at Sears. But in 2003 they started having financial problems. They struggled throughout the Christmas season that year, in addition to expensive leases and malls and decreased traffic throughout. At the beginning of the new year, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and they closed 600 stores. Hasbro and Lego accused KB Toys of enriching themselves with $1 million payments back in 2002 through a dividend deal. Big Lots, a discount retail chain, sued Bain Capital, claiming they were owed US $45 million from the sale in 2000, but this lawsuit was dismissed in 2006. In 2005, KB Toys left Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Bain Capital had unsuccessfully tried to regain control of the company, but it was obtained by Prentice Capital. They invested about $20 million into it and hired a former Toys R Us executive to be its CEO. They began closing 566 stores in 2007 and went into Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2008. The company had over 10,000 employees. They also had 561 stores in total at that time. They had stores in 400 states, which also included overseas territories like Guam and Puerto Rico. They formally ceased operations on the 9th of February 2009 and their assets were sold to Toys R Us. It seems as though KB Toys was the store for those who didn't have Toys R Us. KB Toys was small and probably felt more cozy. Reading from comments and our nostalgia on Reddit, one poster said that KB Toys had all the clearance stuff for a quarter of the price. So a lot of the goofy fun stuff ended up there, like failed toys and video games. I bought a bunch of Power Ranger Megazords from the latest seasons there on clearance, forgot about them and had them in storage until about 5 years ago when I got $400 plus each for them. Where I lived, there wasn't a Toys R Us at all. This is our go-to. One of my favourite memories as a kid in a very poor family was going to K.B Toys and looking at clearance items. My brother and I got a Mega Man and Mag Max for $5 and $8 respectively. Obviously at that point they were older games, but that was a big deal to us. It was a long drive to town to get to KB, but I'll never forget the crappy little Toyota Corolla we rolled up in with my mother and bought these games. That was super common. I figured out why Toys R Us had paper slips when you'd find them hidden behind other merch in the store. A good friend from high school worked in one just after high school for a few years. I remember coming home from college for break and he stopped by my job with a Nintendo 64 that fell off the truck and sold us to me for like $50 or $75. That money was probably dollar for dollar the most fun and entertainment I've ever bought for myself. Endless hours of Mario 64 and Zelda, then when GoldenEye and WCW NWO came out, my friends and I spent thousands of hours having so much fun. 25 to 26 years later, I can still recite a lot of the jokes and one-liners that came out of those late nights around the N64. I worked there from 98 to 99. It was my favourite job as a teenager. Cool people, chill place to work, decent discount on toys. Only problem we ever had was the old dudes who would come in super early when Hot Wheels would be delivered. They would make a mess looking for that one car. Also, the tons of Star Wars prequel toys they got tossed because I really hoped speculators would buy them up. As it turns, however, we may not be seeing the last of KB Toys. In 2016, Strategic Marks LLC, which is a group that revives defunct brands, registered a KB Toys trademark shortly after Toys R Us didn't renew the trademark. Ilya Kassoff in 2018 announced plans to open KB Toys pop-up stores across the US. Due to Toys R Us going out of business, and if successful, some stores will be permanent. But this never came to be due to a lack of funding. Strategic Marks LLC also did not renew the trademark in 2020, thus rendering the trademark 606, meaning that they are abandoned. But Defuctbrand Partnership Management in November 2024 announced they'll be bringing back KB Toys. In what ways, honestly, who knows? But a whole new generation of kids may get to experience KB Toys, though I wouldn't keep my hopes up. I would be surprised if KB Toys did reopen. I mean, Toys R Us has also been able to make a comeback. And honestly, thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.